it's a video game. What happens if like there's a R-rated movie with like uh I don't even know, but like there's a
No, no. Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. All
oh
those
there you
camp counselors are underage. They're like
go.
17, and then they're taking care of
Wow.
the kids.
There you go. There you go. But the other thing is, like, it doesn't apply because it doesn't fit a narrative of what they're trying to take down right now. But the other thing is, it's not 2025 in the USA. This is ancient what Slovakia, not Slovakia, but what's it called?
Bohemia.
Bohemia. Thank you. Like the rules that you live by here do not apply to what the game rules are, which is like that's three strikes. We just named three things that go against what they're trying to push forward here. It's the dumbest fucking article I've read in a very long time, and that includes Kotaku. I am now putting Fandom Pulse on the level of Kotaku. Think about that for a second. That's where they've fallen with this article.
I almost said on SNH earlier. I don't remember why I didn't. I think maybe the conversation got too far and I want to backtrack. But yeah, Fandom Pulse is the Kotaku or the Polygon of the right wing.
Yep.
They
Well, fancy that. Yeah, g'day, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, the bio-boosted squirrel, and I'm back. And you may be asking, Squirrel, what are we here again doing this again for? Because this guy's an idiot and has birthed Kotaku 2.0. I am the bio-boosted squirrel, and I am joined today by my very good friend from PlayStation for about a decade now. We've known each other and been teabagging each other to death. Skellington Bigsby. You there, Skell? Yo. Now, I just got to check. Now, this is one thing. Talk again. I need to make sure you're coming through on the audio. Okay, no. Give me 2 secs. I got to fix that up. Something's happened here. Every time you restart this shit, it buggers up. Give me 1 second, everyone. I do apologize for this. Try again. All right, we'll have to keep going through the audio. And no, that's not coming through. What the hell is going on? Audio is one of the bane of the YouTuber. Give me 2 seconds here, everyone. I do apologize. I thought I'd checked all of this before it started. So try again.
Yeah, OBS is a pain in the ass.
Okay, there we go. Now you're coming through. So everyone in the chat should be able to hear you. Skellington Bigsby, ladies and gentlemen. One of my oldest, bestest friends.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
So, yes, we're here talking about Jon Del Arroz and his new Kotaku 2.0. And you, Skell, obviously... I'm not as much of a comic fan as you are. You, of course, write for you have your own label, Prominence Comics, and you're writing The Silver Spark, your own comic, which you're coming along with.
Yep.
I'm still trying to work out some reason for him to, for your character that you asked me about. So I've been busy, obviously. So, but yeah, you know more about comics than I do. So tell me what you know about Jon Del Arroz.
So, John is a comics artist. He used to work. I'm not sure which label he used to work for, but he was a pro artist for a while.
Yes.
Decided to go independent. He's got a few books out right now.
Yep. There you are.
And he's got a YouTube channel. He has. It seems like he spends a lot of time criticizing other YouTubers on his YouTube channel,
right?
Rather than talking too much about comic books. But that's just from the last few weeks that I've been watching him. I haven't really. I just subscribed to his YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago, and now now we're seeing all the drama coming from him.
Yeah,
so
I myself was subscribed to him and was following Fandom Pulse for a bit there, and then. Back when John F. Trent started working for them and got booted out of that Park Place, because at that point I decided, maybe this John F. Trent guy's not worth looking at, sort of thing. Because we'll go over all of that anyway. But yeah, once he went over to Fandom Pulse, I started wondering when that would start to happen. Because John F. Trent has quite a history of moving between outlets, it seems like. For some reason or another, I've asked Brock about it a couple of times, and it says, there might be, things that he wants to do for his own career and whatever else. Okay, but you don't sign a multi-year deal with someone and then, go to do something else after that. That seems a bit weird. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that is a little weird. I mean, I haven't been a professional comic artist for that long, but it seems to me like, I don't know, maybe he's just feels like he's got the capacity for that many irons in the fire, and maybe he's just deciding to, you know, do something else on top of, having some more plate spinning, I guess, to put it a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. No, I didn't want to pop up there. I want to be over there. There we go. Okay, so we're looking at the video output now, and we've got the tweet from Smash JT up saying, "I swear this is the most retarded story I've seen propped up in years." And this isn't the one that we were looking at, but this is Fandom Pulse and John F. Trent talking about Daniel Vavra, the director of the game, who I'm going to say straight up, acting like an absolute idiot on social media in regards to this. Bad way to, publicize yourself, but I do sort of get where he's coming from. Like, he seems like the sort of guy that would get sick of shit being flung from him at all sides, and that's gamers in general. We're tired of the woke shit. We're tired of the Puritan crap. We're just gamers. We're in the bottom of the horseshoe. We want you fuckers to leave your ideology out of our video games and just give us good games with good stories. We don't care about who people sleep with in those video games. We don't care who does what to who, or apparently murder's fine and all sorts of other horrible non-Christian things to do. Writing the very incarnation of Satan. We'll get to that again because I called John Trent out on that, and that's when he blocked me. So if you guys can be calling people out for their degeneracy, but you're going to go block someone when they've got a legitimate criticism of what you're doing, I have a problem with that. So, yeah, they've obviously gone and put out saying that, this... And we have to address this straight up. So the character Hans in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is depicted as being in his 20s. I'll play this bit. And this is, god damn it, audio. Why is the audio always stuffing around? Give me 1 second here. Oh, this is such a pain in the butt.
Okay, so this is the pre-launch live stream gameplay, IGN.
From IGN, yeah. And in this bit, there's a bit where he says about here, Hans is 27-ish, and he literally says that. Let's see if we got it coming
Guns
through.
Guns swords blazing in this instance. So we were chatting at the tavern last night.
I don't think I have ever chosen speech or charisma in any RPG in the history of video games. I went last night. I immediately picked vitality and strength.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, play the way you want to, I guess.
Well, I hope he didn't fill your head with...
It's back here a little bit. I went too far, sorry.
All right.
So we're right into gameplay from the game that sets a nice premise for it.
What on earth did you get up to last
One of
night?
the things about RPGs, obviously, is about embodying the character and having it be a pure role-playing game.
Now that, right there, role-playing. You're playing a role. You're creating the character to do things that you want the character to do. Let's just keep that in mind.
Okay. Because this is a game that takes place in a historical setting, pretty much the framework of the environment, the framework of the plot line is all historically accurate, and they insert you as a fictional character in a point in history.
Now,
So
I
you
think that's
play
pretty
as
goddamn
Henry, the son of
important.
a blacksmith, and there.
Am I wrong in saying that's pretty goddamn important?
I mean, yeah, it's a little important.
It's a little important.
Is no character customization, but the way that we get around that and having you embody him as a role-playing character is you attune your starting stats right here with how
Which
you
is
respond
a
to your
thing
mother.
that you do at the start of
So
every
what are you
RPG.
going to go for straight out of the gate?
I'm gonna go for speechcraft.
Wow, okay.
So I like to be able to have more opportunities of how I want to approach situations instead of necessarily coming at them guns or swords blazing in this instance. So we were chatting at the tavern last night.
I don't think I have ever chosen speech or charisma in any RPG in the history of video games.
We getting there?
I went last night. I immediately picked vitality and strength.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, play the way you want to, I guess.
Well, I hope he didn't fill your head with nonsense. Well, I've got a
So the way
feeling
the
something
leveling
telling
system
me.
works is
It's
there's
connected
your
with
base
that
stats, which are
scratch
in
on your
charisma,
hand,
strength,
and that's
speechcraft,
suspicious
etc.
looking character
And
with
the more you
sword
level those
turned
up,
in
there are
town
certain points
recently.
where if you get enough ticks, then it progresses your main level. So my mother's going in on me again about
Your mum.
learning sword fighting. My father's a blacksmith. There's a whole plot line here that's
Your mom going
beginning
in.
to unfold. It's a bit
I know,
Wait a
right?
minute.
We would have been all over that. And I'm talking about your mum here.
it's a bit shady at this point.
How old is Henry?
Henry is
But you know your bounty's
27.
He's the same.
So we heard it there. That was it. That was the bit I wanted to play. How old is he? 20, he's about 27-ish?
27-ish?
27-ish. So Hans is not that much younger than him. They're older than 20. So, yeah. How can they get away with... Let's pull the article up. Where is it? Where is it? Not that one. We're getting there. I don't have things very organized here. I am an autistic squirrel, everyone. So here we go. The article that Fandom Pulse decided to post. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 features graphic depiction of child sodomy, which John F. Trent seems to have a bit of a thing with sodomy. This is the article that put me off him in the first place. I finally went back and found it, and I should actually bookmark that while I'm here because it's important for research purposes. So this was the article from that park place where I started reading through it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a bit out there. But then I got to the bit down here. As soon as John started quoting things from the church itself and the catechism. So hang on, where is that bit? I mean,
I
this
think
whole
scroll
thing just
up
makes here
Too
we go.
far.
Church teaching
Right
is
there.
right there. Church teaching is abundantly clear that sodomy is sinful. Now, I'm reading an entertainment website. I'm looking for news about my entertainment, not about what the Christian church says about my entertainment or the Catholic church. Thank you very much. It basing itself on sacred scripture, which presents homosexual acts as acts of grave depravity. Tradition has always declared that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered. As disordered as being an alt furry, I ask at this point? They are contrary to the natural law. They close the sexual act to the gift of all life. They do not proceed from a genuine, effective, and sexual complementarity. Complementarity? Yeah. Under no circumstances can they be approved. Okay, so how about alt furries? Can they be approved? I ask. Because we all know John's got a bit of a history as being an alt furry, loving Lucario, all that. Thumbnail. Hope you share the meme around. It's pretty funny. So, yeah, this guy, it seems to be functionally, retardedly brain dead when it comes to this sort of shit. Speaking of, Jon Del Arroz doesn't even realize what he's talking about when it comes to games because he claimed that there were 400,000 Dragon Age Veilguard players at its peak. Are you sure you got that right, John? Because it didn't even crack 100. It was 89,000. I had that pulled up. Where did that go?
Well, and let's go back to that before we get ahead of ourselves. Let's go
Yeah.
back to that headline because it's making a claim of fact about the video game.
Right.
It's saying it features a graphic depiction of child sodomy.
Right.
Now, I don't ever want to see that in a game, but if in the game there is not a child being bent over and sodomized and it doesn't show it, then you cannot say that the game features graphic depiction of child sodomy.
I'd agree
because
with
it's
that.
not happening in the game.
There's another couple of other
Like,
things.
To make a claim of fact like that in the
Right.
headline is just it's frankly it's irresponsible.
It's yellow journalism. It's Kotaku level journalism. Kotaku 2.0. There's a few other things we've also got to keep in mind here. The game had to have been thoroughly inspected and, certified before even being put up for sale. It's got an M rating on it. You can't go distributing CSEM, and I'll use the term C instead of the whole long thing. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, though. You can't go disseminating that stuff like in a video game or anything. It wouldn't be allowed. If someone had gone through it and found anything like that, they would have said no. Now, apparently, it was banned in Saudi Arabia. I'm not too sure about that yet. But because of this one graphic scene,
Well, and there are
the gay scene that you have to go
in-
out of your way
in-
to find. And apparently, I'll just say this real quick. You apparently, if you decide to go down that route, still get punished in-game because of the times that it was set in and their views on it back then, which is very similar to what, closeted alt for Jon Del Arroz and maybe John Trent at this point, I'm not too sure. But those that cry the loudest about this sort of thing usually have something to hide. I was bullied relentlessly through school and called all sorts of, nasty things like gay and homo and, my last name they came up with a way to make sound really fucking... Anyway, relentlessly. Guess what turned out to be the fact of the matter when I went back to that town several years later, had grown up. Guess what? Guess what I'd found out everyone had decided to come out as? Gay. All of the guys that bullied me through school about it were the ones that ended up being the ones that they were accusing me of it. Funny how that works, isn't it? So anyway, that's my rant on that. There are things like this game wouldn't have been released with that sort of material in it. The characters that they used, they've obviously used older actors to motion capture and voice capture and all of the rest of it. So that you look at the characters in game, they do not look like children. And the codex entry may be based on the real historical figure, but this is a fictional game again.
Let's steelman this for a second.
Right.
Even if you found a production company that was willing, because there are exceptions in American law where if it's a fictional child, you can technically, it's not illegal for you to show them in a sexual manner.
Right.
If it's a fictional child and not an actual existing child.
Okay.
But let's entertain this for a second. Just say that you found a production company that was willing to go through with all of this. To put their name on this if it had that kind of material in it. It would still not be an M rating. Showing sodomy of any kind would cause it to be an AO rating.
Adults
you
only.
wouldn't even be able to find it on store shelves.
Right. Excellent point. That was one of the first things I thought of when I looked at it. I was like, hang on, M rating, released in all territories except for maybe Saudi Arabia. Again, I have to check on that. Someone in the chat might know that, and I'll pop the chat out. So I did have that.
Most mainstream game companies go out of their way to avoid the AO rating specifically because stores will not carry it on their shelves,
right,
and it makes it harder for them to sell.
Skell, did you know that we didn't have an adults-only rating for video games here in Australia until 2013?
I did not know that.
No,
That's really interesting.
So, and the reason that happened was because of an Anglican guy, Senate. He was the Attorney General or something of South Australia, Michael Atkinson, decided to block it for years and years. It had been people had been saying for years that we needed one to, and his whole excuse was, it'll hurt disabled people, pretty much. Like, how is it going to hurt disabled people? Aren't the disabled people supposed to be looked after by functional adults? Yeah, there's usually a bullshit excuse to stop adults consuming content that they should be allowed to consume. CSEM isn't material that people are allowed to consume, and it would not have been released here if there were any hint of that at all. And we're quite thorough when they look at a game and go to certify it for release and sale in Australia, they will comb through it with the finest of tooth combs to find anything that they can say, well, no, we need to make it either MA15 plus, which was our highest, or R18 plus, which is our adults only equivalent. So yeah, the fact that it's rated M here, it's not R18 plus. I think this is a bit of an argument that they fail at massively.
Yeah, and I mean that. I'm still going back to that headline. That is, like, again, it's a claim of fact that is just demonstrably wrong.
They've obviously not played the game or watched any playthroughs or done any actual research on it. I know Jon Del Arroz isn't really a gamer. He plays maybe MLB and Mario Kart with his kids, and I don't think John F. Trent's a gamer at all.
And like even that picture underneath the headline, that is Sir Hans, I'm assuming, correct?
I'd say so, yeah. That doesn't look like a 15-year-old.
That is a
He's
model
wearing,
of a grown man.
He's wearing
That is
fucking...
no, that is not a 15-year-old.
Look at the
That is a
armor on the...
grown man.
Look at the armor on him. Yeah, that's a grown man. I agree. This is completely blown out of proportion. And I've heard people saying, "Oh, Daniel Vavra and Warhorse Studios should sue them for this." I don't think they'd be far off a case of this, honestly. I mean, this is pretty fucking out there.
I mean, if I were the game studio, I would consider suing them for it.
Yeah,
I would, because they are making a claim of fact in their headline.
So here we've got Hypnotic making a post
that is
saying,
just demonstrably false.
And here we go. Hypnotic made a post. Henry is 27 years old and Kingdom Come once. 1. The fact that this is even a conversation is so retarded and people fell for it. 7:30, and we just saw the timestamp on the IGN video. Hans is similar age to Henry in the game as well. So if Henry's 27-ish, Hans is not much younger than that. Gurnagate takes another L, and this is for Gamergate as a whole. This whole thing makes the rest of us that are fighting against both sides of this shit look worse. And this is why I want to stand up and go, no, screw you, Jon Del Arroz, John F. Trent, Razor Fist, Melanie Mack, the rest of you Christian Puritans. I don't have a problem with Christians. I'm actually quite good friends with several of them. All over the place, from all over the world, in fact. I don't care what you believe. I don't care if you want to have an imaginary friend. I've had imaginary friends before. Last time I was 7, about age 7, but whatever. Anyway, that's fine. You can believe what you want. Don't go telling me that your imaginary friend finds something that I am doing or watching or is bad for me and I'm going to hell for the rest of it, because I don't think your imaginary friend has any bearing on my life. I don't even think your imaginary friend exists, but that's just me. That's just me. Go on.
Well, and I'm not super up to date with all of this, all of this drama and stuff. I haven't seen what everybody's said. I'm sure Melanie Mack has said, out of pocket shit because it's Melanie Mack. Razor Fist, I don't know. I haven't seen what he said about it, but there's a difference between saying, I don't like how this game is, so I personally am not going to buy it, and I recommend you don't buy it. And there's a difference between that and doing literally the Marge Simpson meme where she says, this isn't my taste, so I don't think anybody else should be able to enjoy it.
I also made a meme with that, with Melanie Mack's face on it. I'll pull that one up later. But you're right. No, you're absolutely right. You're like, it's fine if you don't want to partake of it. You don't have to. But don't go telling other people that do, particularly when it's rated for adults. It's clearly not anything like what these people are claiming to portray. I am going to buy the game at this point, just despite Jon Del Arroz and Yinkara Torch, that other guy on X that goes around saying, gamers, we're all based and Christian. And I thought he was cool to start with too. And then he started running for Fandom Polls. And then I was like, no, not having it. When you start going out of your way to join fundamentalist zealots and call people degenerate and perverted, and the things that they are viewing as entertainment are perverted and corrupting and bad for society as a whole, and we need to ban porn and shit. No, you can take a long walk off a short pier with that. You don't get to tell me as an adult what I can and can't watch. I have a brain. I know when something is inappropriate, and I would not view anything inappropriate. And I'm sure that because this is the other thing. They've now started to go around and say anyone playing this game is a groomer, which is, again, in and of itself, disgusting. So anyway, I'll go back to reading this tweet. Gurnagate takes another L. This is so sad at this point. You all bought their fake outrage hook, line, and sinker because they went for your emotions with the obvious truth of modern-day views around that word and how terrible it is. If you looked at Henry and Hans and saw a 15-year-old in the game, you seriously are retarded, and it probably says more about you than it does anyone else, I'm just going to say. Stop listening to people, even the actors are adults, who they are based on. Stop listening to people who want to fuck Pokemon and project their constant desires onto others. See you tonight on Saturday Night Hypnosis, and I was there for that. That was a really good stream. We all know you're going to watch anyway. So, yeah, I mean, pretty succinct. Packer Girl says the unethical furry tourist who was part of the bullying campaign that pushed Ed Pisker to Sudoku himself. I went over that last stream I did. Don't think there's much else to say about that. Jon Del Arroz has got his burner account going around, going, oh, blah, blah, blah. He's got a few of those. Talks to himself off the Fandom Pulse, replies to himself off the Fandom Pulse account. That's kind of weird. Am I wrong in thinking that is, and I'm not the only, I've seen other people say it's weird when someone replies to themselves with another account, I don't know, thinking it's someone else? Or I don't know how that works. It's weird.
Again, I'm not familiar with the whole controversy around this. Is there proof that it was an alt account that he was replying to himself with? Like, did he
with this one,
like
no.
accidentally?
With this one, I'm not too sure. This is which one? Civic XP. I'm not too sure if that's an alt of his, but we'll go to that. That brings that up. So, Mr. Del Arroz apparently left himself logged into something he shouldn't have when he was running a live stream here one day. See the name there? Daniela Acera? So, if we go and find... Let's go and find Daniela Acera. That's the one. This is apparently Jon Del Arroz's alt account. As seen... Not there. As seen before. Here. He's logged
Wait,
into
so
this...
John's alt account has pronouns in bio?
Yep, pronouns in bio. It's a female
Wait a minute.
romance writer. Yeah. Isn't this fucking hilarity? So he's running this stream here, from what I understand. Whatever they were doing. He's got Cider from Bounty into Comics there. He's got Dark Off Comics. He's got some people in there. But he's still logged in on Twitter to the Daniela Acera account.
And we're sure he's not. We're sure he's not just logged into like some side pieces account. Like that's not his girlfriend on the side. I mean, given he's already a degenerate.
Remember, we got to. Oh,
do
that
things
reminds me.
Pokemon.
We've got to use the word allegedly, like all up and down this shit. Allegedly, this is all, this is John's alt account that writes, female smut porn, got, sweet, but sometimes a little spicy. Gryffindor. I mean, this says a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, INTJ. I remember when I was doing those things back in like 6th grade to figure out like what kind of personality I had, even though why do you need something outside yourself to tell you about your personality?
I mean, the guy seems to have a complex mental state. It's about the best I can put it without getting snarkier than usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is just up and down hypocrisy and hilarity. There was that tweet I was looking for before. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 couldn't even reach 300,000 when it supposedly sold 1 million. Where are the rest of the 700,000 copies? And I've heard it's actually closer to 2 million by now. So at their peak, they had 202,000. They now broke that and almost reached. And this is what I was saying. John gets community noted more than Kotaku. How the fuck is that possible?
So you want to hear something funny?
Go ahead. Always.
So when I saw that headline earlier, I quoted it because somebody was replying to it, regarding Jon Del Arroz.
Mm-hmm.
And I quoted it and I said, I don't care if he's a furry. I don't care if he's a hypocrite. I don't care what his friends say. Does the article accurately describe what's in the game? That's what I care about.
And you're not wrong to ask that. No, absolutely.
If it does, then why are you defending it? But if it doesn't, and I said if it does, why are you defending it? Jon Del Arroz actually liked that tweet.
No shit. There you go.
Not knowing that what I was saying is if it does, not it not confirming that it does, saying if it does.
That's very interesting,
So
actually.
He kind of, I think he kind of thought I was on his side there for a second, but like,
Yeah, right.
again, if the article doesn't accurately describe what's in the game, so
No.
like,
Yeah, absolutely. So I replied.
Like, I'm glad for the like. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, you always got to like the likes, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and share the stream around as well, everyone, because you know it helps. So I went and replied to these idiots, and I'm going to call them idiots because they are idiots. You idiots do realize it's not just out on PC, right? I've had no likes and no replies, 23 views on it, so I think John's got me muted at this point because he did go out of his way to say I mute accounts just to get the engagement. So he is a grifter, and the very definition of it. I mean, this guy has zero self-awareness of the shit it's astounding. I didn't think I could get dumbfounded after having dealt with flat earthers for nearly a decade and their idiocy. I'd never thought that it could get dumber than that. It got dumber than that. So yeah, John's been community noted again, saying Steam charts pulls Steam data that tracks concurrent player counts, not total unique players, which would include Xbox and PlayStation as well, and whatever else other platforms they've released it on, like Good Old Games and Epic and Doi. So, how do you?
Community note strikes again.
Yeah, right. For the win. Here we go. You said the game sold over 1 million. Where are all the players? Dragon Age, the Veilguard, and this is hilarious. I can't believe he's still got this up. Like, he doesn't delete tweets, which, I don't know, it might behoove him to get rid of some of this shit. But the Veilguard sold 1 million and had 400k concurrent for their first week. No, they didn't. No, they did not. It's still at 89,000. Didn't even crack 100,000, John. You sure you know which game you're talking about?
There he goes saying the underage graphic, making a claim of fact about the game that's just not true. Like, we know it's not true from the picture shown in the article.
And obviously you can see fake news. Dragon Age Veilguard had 400,000 concurrent. I'm sorry, but 400k. And yeah, no, this is it. That's the all-time peak of Dragon Age the Veilguard. How are you doing this and getting all of this shit? You're not a gamer, John. Don't you fucking think you can come in here and start throwing your weight around? Very little of it. Yeah, go on.
Here's a good litmus test to tell if somebody is a grifter for the whole anti-woke thing. Because I consider myself anti-woke, but you can tell if somebody's a grifter in the whole anti-woke crowd if they can't tell the difference between, say, Hogwarts Legacy and Dragon Age the Veilguard. Dragon Age the Veilguard is woke because the trans character in there constantly beats you over the head with the fact that they're trans. Constantly talks about being trans.
Yep. Or non-binary.
Hogwarts Legacy has a trans character in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Hogwarts Legacy has the bartender in Hogwarts Legacy is trans. Nobody cares about that because the character is a genuine character who talks about the things that are going on around them instead of just talking about their identity.
Do you remember that fat chick from the Borderlands game? I think it was Borderlands 2. The Big Bertha, I think they called her, or something like that. Even though she was fat and gross and ugly, she was a good character. She was funny. Like, that's the thing. You can get away with doing things like that. And you can get away like making a character that is outside of the normal. As long as you make it a good character, no one's going to give a fuck. As long as you've made the game fun first, as the Kilted Cajun always says, and shout out to him. He's one of the more level-headed sort of YouTubers that does this stuff. And I always find myself somewhat agreeing with a lot of his takes. Most of them, in fact. And he's right.
Like the point that you already made, it's a role-playing game where the gay storyline is completely optional. You have to go out of your way to find it.
And this tweet here was, a post saying they keep moving the goalposts. First it was, it couldn't even reach 200. Now it can't even reach 300 out of 1 million copies. This is goalpost shifting. Another community note there. I don't know, hang on. But yeah, John's been community noted several times in the last week. Got community noted for his bullshit about the satanic panic. And it's almost immediately that it happens too. I don't think I've ever seen Kotaku get community noted. Have you? Like, not that I don't follow them.
I believe they have before, but I mean, I don't follow them, so I don't know.
Right, I'd have to go and have a look. But look, I feel fairly confident in saying Kotaku doesn't get community noted as much as Jon Del Arroz, the owner of Fandom Pulse, does. It's insane. So anyway, we're moving on, and we'll get onto John's nasty side because he's got a nasty side. This is him posting someone's home address to them in a DM, saying, "If you want to fuck with me, I know where you live." Big tough guy. Here's the clip that this came from. This is 4 years ago, mind you. So streamed 4 years ago. This is obviously Ethan Van Sciver. I've become aware of him and holy shit, I gotta say, man, like the Comicsgate thing, they seem like just drama farm. That thing is just bullshit.
Oh, it absolutely is. It is just so much. Like I thought about, considering myself Comicsgate and joining with Comicsgate, and then they started doing the same Whisper Network fucking drama behind the scenes bullshit that was the whole point of doing independent comics and not going through DC and Marvel and Image.
Right. So anyway,
because the whole point of doing those independent comics, we wanted to avoid the drama.
Right.
And now you've got Ethan Van Sciver constantly just fucking creating drama out of nothing.
Apparently he likes
it annoys me so much.
Apparently he likes licking urinals as well. But anyway, so it's got to do with Clint Stoker here down at the bottom. He's going to tell a story here about an incident he had with John. Let's have a listen.
Yeah. Well, so I came on, I heard about some of the JDA stuff, and I thought I could come on and just set the record straight because I've never actually said anything on stream before. I don't want to take away, though, from John. Congratulations.
No, we're
on the success. Okay.
So even straight away, this guy's still saying to John, congratulations on your success of whatever. He calls himself a best-selling author, etc., etc. He not by any normal metric, but in a niche thing, that's fine. Whatever.
Okay, all right. But if you want, I could do that. I don't have a lot of time, but
please
that's
do it.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
So part of the thing is here, though, I have shown these DMs. I took screenshots because the man threatened to share my personal address everywhere and tell everybody that I was doxing him, or I was responsible for doxing, and therefore he was going to do the same. I showed Ethan those screenshots complete. I showed John Malin. I think I showed Peter too. I showed a few other people, and then after the fact, I said, "Oh, did I do something wrong here?" What happened was he made a comment on my video. Someone responded to his comment and said, "Hey, are you related to this public figure, well-known public figure?" That was the comment. Because if I do that, people are going to freak out that I'm deleting comments. How does that, who deletes comments? How does that go over for you, when you run a YouTube channel? So then he said, he gave me this big long sob story. Basically, he weaved in his threat along with a whole bunch of other personal information. So if I share those DMs, it doesn't matter what I do. If I share the DMs, then he can say I'm doxing him because it has personal information in it of his own. And if I don't share them, then he can tell everybody his narrative that I was somehow supporting doxing. So I told him a solution would be is he could just delete his comment. Anyone can try this. If you comment on a YouTube video and someone responds to you and you don't like it, you can delete your own comment and it'll delete their response. He didn't want that. So he wanted me to delete it. He was trying to exert power over me.
Yeah.
It was almost a year ago, and I realized that the truth of the matter is that he's doing this for attention, and I try to ignore it, but he brings it up I don't know, every other month or something, he brings it up somewhere. So I don't know. That's it is what it is. Those of you that have seen the DMs, you know what it is. But at the end of the day, he's a troll, and he wants.
He's at the end of the day, he's a troll. Says it all. Clout chasing.
Yeah.
Fucking goblin, nasty little venom-filled troll. Anyway.
That's the attention. So that's why I'm like, this will be the one and only time I address it live on a live stream. That's what happened. And I don't associate with JDA, and I don't fault, because some people were saying, oh, Kelsey Shannon, how dare he have JDA on? I'm cool with Kelsey. Talk to anybody you want. That's cool. Personally, I'm not going to be talking to JDA because he threatened me and the safety of my family. But yeah, I mean, I think Kelsey did a great job. I'm just not a JDA fan, and never will be. He lies about me too.
Well, he seems to lie about a lot of. It seems to be a bit of a recurring theme with this guy. This is from 4 years ago. I'll just remind everyone.
Here's the thing about that whole story, though, is like, you can't ask for receipts from it, because if, like he said in the video, if Jon Del Arroz did what he said he did, then if he gives receipts, then he's doxing Jon Del Arroz, and then he's a doxer.
Yep.
But then if he doesn't give receipts, if he doesn't dox Jon Del Arroz, then Jon Del Arroz can just say, "Oh, it never happened."
I mean, very illicit. What she's trying to do to smack. I mean, it seems to follow a similar pattern to the things that Alyssa Mercante got up to, and lies and bad mouthing people and crying victim and cancellation and all that. The only thing is, I think Jon Del Arroz wants to be like what happened with Smash, where he blew up and finally got himself over the 100,000 subscriber mark. He'd been doing it for years and years, and Alyssa is what caused him to get as popular as he is now. John wants that for himself from someone. He wants someone to actually cancel him, go out of the way and say, no, you like. And this is the thing, when you've been pushed out of so many communities around the place that this is one of the last ones you've got to go to, and you're already pulling this sort of shit, and you're already getting pushback. It's a you problem, buddy. It's not a problem with everyone else. It's a you problem. You need to take a good long look in the mirror and figure out what the fuck you're doing with yourself. Because the way you present yourself to other people isn't conductive to your business or, getting on with people. You act like a fucking retarded fool and you treat people like shit, you're going to get some pushback. It's not harassment, it's criticism. Exactly the same as we criticize Alyssa Mercante. Exactly the same as we criticize people like The Verge and other Jason Schreier, fucking the rest of mainstream urinalists. You're all urinalists. Fuck you. Sorry, go on, Skel.
Well, it's like that quote. I can't remember where I heard it from, but there's a quote. It's, have you ever considered that the common denominator in all your failed relationships is you?
Is you. Yep. It's part of the reason I haven't dated for years and years and years, and like that's part of it. I don't know if I'm a problem in the relationships I've had, or if I just date psychos, so I just stopped doing it.
You're definitely the problem, Cypher.
Yeah.
Don't ever question that. No, you are always the problem.
But never forget, my mum birthed me. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, she birthed a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, John is John definitely has zero self-awareness. Doesn't seem to understand that, headlines like this. Alan Scott, the Green Lantern writer, normalizes sodomy. Headlines like this. Christian, don't care. Have your beliefs. That's fine. But don't go telling the rest of us that we have to and that we're bad people for not doing it. And we're going to burn in hell. That's not how it works. Pretty sure you're not supposed to do that. I'm pretty sure that's against your own rules. Pretty sure wanting to ride, the incarnation of Satan during Revelations is a pretty big no-no as well. You have nothing to do with the dragon. Yeah, these guys are just idiots. Absolute
now, you
idiots.
know me. You know I'm gonna ask. You know I'm gonna ask for receipts for all of this.
Oh yeah,
as anybody should.
Yep. I'll post them all to you in Discord too, and I'm gonna get a there's plenty of blog posts and history about this that goes to show Jon's history. He has a long history of this, going back to the original Gamergate. Apparently, it's up there. So getting around to yesterday, I jumped on. It was pretty early in the morning. First thing I saw was Jon replying to Bo DeMayo. What was that? Saying he wanted to do it. Here we go. My team and I, so Bo DeMayo posted, yes, on the 8th, which is the 9th here, because we are from the future and we see everything coming. Ha ha ha. My team and I have decided to share the video detailing my experience on X-Men 97 and the reasons behind Marvel Studios and Disney's smear and cover-up. As we're learning, there's a lot of creators with horror stories. Jon's popped in and said, hey, can I interview you on this? And Bo replies and says, in time, once it's finished. Okay, cool. And I reply, I didn't think Bo DeMayo would even notice this or, look at it or whatever. The guy's a hack. I wouldn't risk it. About 2 minutes later, that popped up. Bo followed me on Twitter, so shout out to Bo DeMayo. Like, that was actually really shocking to me. So yeah, that happened.
I mean, that's interesting.
So what I want to know is
Bo is.
Yeah, go on.
From what I understand, Bo DeMayo is kind of a wokey.
That's
but
what I've heard.
I mean, he did write. And X-Men 97 is generally regarded as
really good.
A good show, even though Bo DeMayo is kind of wokey.
Definitely gay. Here's the thing: he's a gay man, and we've got here Jon Del Arroz saying, "Oh, we want to interview you about this," but here he is saying, "We all knew it was coming. It's a woke disaster." And again, another Fandom Pulse article: Disney Marvel X-Men 97 goes full gay by having Morph lust after Wolverine in Bo DeMayo's 3rd episode. So what are you going to ask him, Jon? Are you going to bring any of this up and ask him about the gay agenda that you think was inserted into the show that, again, has got a pretty high, 90 plus on Metacritic? It's up there.
Well, I think Bo DeMayo is going to do his research like anybody would before he goes on and does an interview with Jon. So, and he's going to see that. So I doubt Bo DeMayo is even going to do an interview with him. If he does, cool. That's to his credit. But I doubt Bo DeMayo is going to do an interview with Jon Del Arroz after seeing that.
I definitely wouldn't. Here we go. 98. That's, and 94 for the audience score. Generally well praised by both sides of the aisle. Which generally, if the critics are loving it, then you're going to go, it's going to be shit. But no, apparently not. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm planning on it. It's, again, one
I haven't either.
Haven't done.
I just don't like remakes and follow-ups of
that's
older shows on principle.
Yeah, I'd like to see something
because they tend to
go on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd like to see some new stories with maybe the same characters, maybe, or, a continuation. I guess it's not a continuation, is it? The 97 one of the old series, is it?
So technically it is, yes.
Okay.
Technically it's a continuation of the X-Men 97 series.
Oh, that is, okay. Now
like the series from 1997.
I'm going to have to check this out for sure. So yeah, anyway, shout out to Bo DeMayo for following me on Twitter, and let's have a listen to what Jon himself has got to say about it here in his own on his YouTube channel that I used to be subscribed to. See how it's not clicked subscribe? Yeah, fuck you, Jon.
Hang on. With X-Men 97, Well, if you thought Disney was going to leave well enough alone with X-Men 97, bringing things back to the classic era, I mean, you haven't been following Disney very long, obviously. They screw up everything. They change everything into just a complete disaster. So bear with me. I'm still a little sick, guys, and thank you for keeping following.
What, physically or in the head? Because in the head, you're way sick.
Along the channel. Oh my gosh, it's been a rough couple of days. I'm going to try to get through this video without coughing my lungs out into your ears. But I have a little anecdote. So my kids are obviously very into Fortnite because a lot of kids are these days. And of course, we know Disney just put a $1.5 billion investment into the company. And of course, they come up to me immediately and go, Disney bought Fortnite. And I'm like, oh, really? And I try not to I let my kids have their fun and enjoy their...
No, they didn't.
Their youth without trying to get them all black-pilled on stuff, so I'm trying to keep most of this political stuff away from them.
Disney didn't buy Fortnite. They've just got, the whole licensing thing where they put the Tesla Cybertruck in there, for Christ's sake. Disney didn't buy Fortnite, you idiot. Epic owns Fortnite.
If I can, but they say immediately, and they know, the kids know, they say, that means it's going to be ruined now. That's exactly what's happening with X-Men 97 already. It's been announced. Let's get into
that's interesting.
Gay propaganda news once again. Let's check it out. Please hit the like and subscribe button, guys.
No.
I really appreciate you being here.
I will not.
I'm a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator, and I really appreciate all the support as we are reporting the news here.
#1 best-selling author.
So here's what we got today. Morph's characterization in X-Men 97. This is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary and has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. You know what that means?
Oh, yeah? What about, can we question you about your buddy relationship with Lucario entering your back hole?
Gonna get gay. The character's past with Mr. Sinister shows the show's villain could also come into play. So here it is. They are pushing the non-binary thing. It's a really cheap gimmick. They love to do this representation pushes with the shapeshifter characters of the past, saying that it's now some sort of gender identity thing, and that's what the shapeshifters represent. It was never meant to be that originally. Shapeshifters are just kind of like a creepy power where they could copy anything, right? And if you go back to Morph's past, if you are not familiar with the comic itself, Morph was originally named Changeling, and Changeling was a villain. The villain got reformed and eventually was brought back into the comics, and he replaced Professor X at some point when Professor X died and died a heroic death in place of to save Professor X, and that's kind of what happened. In the cartoon, they brought him in and they ignored the villain past, ignored the Changeling thing, changed the character. He was completely something different from the comics, and in that cartoon, he wasn't in it very often. So if you remembered watching it as a kid, and if you liked the character, it was like, gosh, why isn't Morph getting more screen time? Eventually, they killed Morph in order to, build this nice Wolverine arc and give Wolverine some more character depth within the show. And that's kind of where it came about from. So now that they're bringing him back...
I barely remember any of the... I watched all the X-Men cartoons. I've got them on a hard drive here. I've got to go back through and watch them all. But I don't remember a lot of
I remember a couple of episodes more, but...
Days of Future Past was obviously the one that was
the
best ones.
If I remember correctly, in the cartoon, wasn't Morph killed by a Sentinel?
Yeah, early on too.
I'm
pretty sure.
Maybe I'm mistaken about that.
I don't remember Morph in a real lot of. I mean, it was great that they brought him back, and who cares if they made him non-binary or gay or whatever? You fuck Pokemon, or you want Pokemon to enter your back hole, John. The hell is this?
In this version here, of course, they're not making him a him
I think it's dumb to, I think it's dumb to make the characters non-binary or gay or whatever if they weren't already.
Sure.
I
mean,
I think it's dumb to change the sexuality of the character.
Yeah,
but,
I agree on that.
At the same time, it's not like a complete deal breaker for me to where I'm just not gonna watch a show because of it.
I agree.
If it depends on how the character is written. Again, it's the Hogwarts Legacy versus Dragon Age the Veilguard thing.
Yep.
If the character is written where they're beating you over the head with their identity the entire time they're on screen, then that's woke and that's bullshit, and I don't want to watch it. I don't want to participate in it. But if the character is written to where they're just a normal person who happens to be gay or trans or non-binary or whatever. I don't care.
Right.
Like, as long as it's a good show or a good game, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. I do find merit to the idea that, if you want to create a gay or bi character, make one up, give them a backstory, and include that in it. Sure, because a lot of the time, someone with a character like Morph, I don't know a real lot about him. I've got my Marvel dictionary over there. I could go through it and have a look, but I don't think he's in there. Maybe it might be. I wasn't a huge X-Man fan. I was more Spider-Man personally, or Iron Man. But I don't think making him non-binary, especially if he didn't have that much of a character arc or development in the original series, I don't think that's too much of a stretch. I don't really find that problematic.
And this is the thing, is people are, now that the left is, on the back foot and losing, people are expanding the definition of what woke is.
Right.
And they're naming things woke that aren't woke. And it's just, and it opens the door for people like John to come in and grift off of that and to, make money. And then there's also, the people also overuse the word grift.
Right.
Just because somebody's getting paid for because somebody's getting paid to make content doesn't mean that they're necessarily, robbing people or lying to people. So it's just
obtaining things by deception is the actual term of grift, and well overused. Same with words like Nazi and other things like that. They've just devalued the word to the point
Nazi, commie, all that stuff.
It's Tuesday then, is it? Anyway, let's keep going with this.
When I call somebody a commie, it's usually a joke, unless they are a commie.
Yeah.
And then I'm just calling them a commie because they're a commie.
Yeah, it's like what I call you Emperor Scrub on Warframe. It's only partially true. Or your shitty internet connection, which you seem to have fixed, so I'll give you that. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah.
There's Kevin. They're making him a non-binary queer because that's what Disney does with everything these days. Melanie Mack, of course, reported on this, and there it is. I'll pass on this. And that's exactly what happens every single time. Now, of course, the Stan accounts, the access...
And yeah, he's got a point there. It gets pushed too much. It needs to be a natural part of a story and a progression of a character arc and things like that. I mean, if we're being constantly told this person is only who they sleep with or what's between their legs, that's boring. No one wants to fucking hear about that. We want to know about what happens to the characters in the setting of the story that you're trying to tell us, not about who they're fucking. Christ, could you imagine that? A story that's like 400 pages that's only about, what's between someone's legs and who they're sleeping with, and that's it. That's the entire book. No actual story. That'd just, no.
Those books exist.
Oh, Christ.
Those books exist. They're called Harlequin novels. And they're like $5 on the shelf at Walmart.
Right. Which apparently John might write
there's
some of those.
There's a time and place for that shit.
Yeah, John might write some of those, apparently, as Daniela. Anyway.
Right. Her might write some of those.
Right.
Access media ones are already saying, yeah, I'm not watching this anymore. Once nobody wants this kind of crap in their just like X-Men cartoons. You won't be missed, of course, is how they go. They love to dismiss the fans.
And that was a big part of the reason why a lot of people didn't watch X-Men 97. They had the expectation that it was going to be woke and gay and dumb and not worth the time. So he makes a point there. It's been pushed to the point where people are just over it and walking away altogether. They're not taking the risk on spending their money on going to the movies only to be preached at again. That's the problem. You can't preach at people when they're paying to be entertained.
People have been beaten over the head so much with it that they just react to the red flags rather than actually looking at what the content is.
And I've caught myself doing it before. I'm trying not to do that these days. It has been ingrained for a while where I go, shit, not going to bother with that. Just because it looks like it's going to be...
I do this myself too. Yeah. If I see any game that's described as cozy, no, I'm not playing that game.
It's not your thing.
Because to me, cozy sounds is a red flag for boring.
Right.
It's a red flag for boring and casual.
Every time they just dismiss the fans. They say, you know what? If you don't watch it, you're a bigot, and I'm proud of it. Well, they never do this stuff where they're actually going to get real pushback. They don't push this stuff into China or into the Arab world or anything like that. They only lecture you in America, and it's not just like, it's not like you're going out there and, acting like it would in the Arab world. You know exactly what would happen to a non-binary queer out there. But you don't do that here. It's a very different world. But just because you don't want to watch it, they moralize at you and wag the finger while they delete all these scenes over there. They're a bunch of cowards, these virtue signalers.
Says the guy that mutes people just for the engagement when he's asked uncomfortable questions. This guy's a clown.
And here's the thing: he's saying this is, he's saying that this stuff is being pushed by China. He's saying this stuff is.
Yeah.
The exact quote he's saying is this stuff isn't being pushed in China.
Right.
And there is some argument to be had that the Chinese are funding a lot of this stuff over here so that it purposely fails so that the Chinese can then come in and give us stuff that's not woke and it'll sell better.
Like Black and Wukong?
That may be partially true. I could see that.
I'm looking forward to that Fallen Feathers game.
If we look at right, but also if we look at the recent stuff that came out about USAID, where they found out that all of these news organizations and all of the whole Gamergate controversy was funded by portions of the United States government in order to influence the culture.
Yeah.
No, that's not even just what it seems like. That's literally
what happened.
Like they did an audit of USAID's contributions to stuff over the years, and it has literally been funding propaganda through media to try and change the culture to be a certain way.
Well, what's the saying? Weak men create weak times, strong men create good times. I think part of the thinking behind that is if we get everyone in the US and the West to start, acting like women and thinking they're women, and weaken like males to the point where they're constantly berated and told that they're pieces of shit. And this happens to not just white men, but men in general. If you've got a dick, we called all sorts of horrible things. Gillette fucking put out their whole, oh, you men need to do better thing. And it's like, you do realize that, like, the people that pull all that sort of crap are, like, less than 1% of the entire population, right? That's... men are berated constantly and told that they're pieces of shit and should do better. And what about the rest of the world? When the fuck do you pull your own shit together and sorry, this is getting into a rant. I'll stop. Let's listen to this.
Every single time.
That's fine.
And that Star Wars girl commented on this as well. Alienating your audience before the show's even released, great marketing. Yeah, and that's what Disney does. But at least we found out about this before it was getting released, rather than having some bait and switch, so we'd have to watch like 5 episodes and then suddenly it comes out in the middle of it. That's happened many times before, and unfortunately, this X-Men cartoon was doomed from the beginning because Disney had its hands in it. You know what happens every single time. Every property that Disney touches just gets destroyed, and it's very sad to watch at this point.
I mean, he's pretty right.
Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button.
No, I won't. You can sit on it and spin.
And I mean, that's the thing is, good people can have bad ideas and bad people can have good ideas. That's a thing that people forget a lot.
Yeah,
I don't think he can be right about something and still be an asshole.
Right. I don't think we need to go over this one, but he's basically doing the same thing again. Going full gay with turning Morph into Wolverine. I'd rather not have to listen to his horrible voice and look at his mostly punchable face for much longer. So yeah, Jon has decided to launch Kotaku 2.0. Goes about doing it very much Alyssa McCarthy-ish. Doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to things like game sales and, the title of his article that John F. Trent has written, is very questionable on its on how trustworthy it is. I wouldn't trust Fandom Pulse or John F. Trent the guy that sits there and says, "Oh, try to be fair, but always speak the truth." You don't speak the truth. You block people when they ask you to speak the truth. What do you like? Why are you writing Satan? But some chick shaking her butt in a thong while she's doing a mini dance game thing is gonna corrupt humanity. But you want to ride Satan and burn villages full of people? Fuck off. Fuck right off over there. Keep fucking off until you get further. Keep fucking off when you get from there till you get back here again, and then fuck off again with that shit. That's what I'm going to say about that. What do you think, Skel?
I think you got a good point there. Yeah. I think he.
That needs to take a long, hard
what's
look
this
in the mirror.
video here?
So this is the last one we'll look at today. This is an upper echelon video. When you make this guy's channel, you have definitely fucking done something that you need to go, well, hang on, I might be doing something wrong here. Let's have a listen to this. Unreal Upper Echelon. I've been subscribed to him for a while. Go check out his channel, and I'll, of course, link everything in the description after the stream's done. So, yeah, let's have a listen.
This video is brought to you by Surfshark. Stick around to hear more about the special offer there.
His video, not mine. I'm not sponsored by Surfshark.
Just to make something clear right off the bat, this isn't a review of the game because I'm not done with it yet. Later on when I'm finished, I definitely will make a final review. But for right now, I want to talk about the controversy surrounding this game, if you can even call it that.
Right.
Because a lot of people are idiots, and I tried to stay quiet because telling the idiots that they are, in fact, idiots usually causes them to harass you. But considering the fact that the original Kingdom Come Deliverance game was a pretty big moment for my entire channel, I figured what the hell, I might as well just do it. Here's the background. Kingdom Come Deliverance, developed by Warhorse Studios, is an open-world, story-driven RPG which was almost universally praised when it first came out in 2018. I played it, I loved it, and I also got to see in real time how the game was attacked for somehow failing to conform in terms of modern expected narrative themes.
Like I said
As an
earlier,
example of that, we can look at Eurogamer.
Warhorse had already gone through, saying, having people go, "Oh, you didn't put enough gay in it," or DEI, or whatever. Like, all sides it comes from. We're just sitting here going, fuck, we just want to make and play games. Fuck off.
Which essentially panned the game, saying, quote, "There's also a big problem. There are no people of color in the game," end quote. Even going on to individually target the game's creative director, Daniel Vavra, calling him a vocal supporter of Gamergate, and doubling down on the idea that exclusion is a form of racism. Ergo, Kingdom Come Deliverance, by not having more black people, de facto makes the game racist. That is quite obviously on its face absurd, especially when you consider the fact...
Absurd? It's, yeah, that's putting it mildly.
The setting for this game is the medieval kingdom of Bohemia, which was not a diverse place in any sense of the modern word. But the thing that I want to focus on is a top-down expectation of control. If you want a much more recent example of this phenomenon, look no further than Hogwarts Legacy, which was boycotted because of J.K. Rowling's allegedly transphobic opinions. But that boycott,
that's why I thought this would all tie well together,
around that word, ultimately failed to impact the game whatsoever, as it went on to become a massive commercial success because it was a good game. See, that's really what people care about in this industry. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, obviously.
Right.
But what people truly want is a good, well-made, fun gameplay experience.
Yes.
If they get one, they don't really care about the politics or the social issues. Take Baldur's Gate 3, for example. That game has a metric ton of what people refer to as woke narrative options, especially in the romance category. But the sheer depth of choice, the scale of the world, the amount of options that you have on what or when or why you do something is practically unparalleled in the entire gaming industry, which completely overrides any sort of outrage campaign, because when you peel back all of the individual layers, what people really want, that is the people that actually play the games, is just a good, well-made, enjoyable experience. To be clear, I can fully understand why people get upset if it feels like a game is somehow sacrificing a piece of its core identity for the purpose of pushing social and political narratives. God knows, The Last of Us 2 is a brutal example of that, in my opinion. And I've made that argument myself in the past several times for different titles. But hopefully by the end of this video, I'll be able to showcase that this, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, really isn't one of those cases. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the original, despite being an undeniably successful product, was vocally criticized by a small group of people over its lack of in-game diversity. But 7 years later, with the sequel, it's now being criticized by the flip side of that very same coin, a smaller group of extremely vocal people, not for its lack of diversity or inclusion, but rather because of it. Primarily its inclusion of certain romance options, which is one of the most painful displays of self-exposing idiocy that I've possibly ever seen in my time on YouTube. So lately, I've been trying to get creative with how I introduce video sponsors, but honestly, the most straightforward way to do.
What was that?
I said horseshoe theory is definitely a thing.
Oh yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. Hang on, I'm gonna skip through the Surfshark thing there because I'm not sponsored by Surfshark. Here we go.
Well, like I was telling you the other day, like people, like the conservative side of politics, you know, they thought for some reason that we were going to be pro censorship just because gamers going to be pro censorship just because they, helped us they were allied with us against the left.
And here's the thing. As I said
earlier,
we
don't like censorship on the right or the left.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we didn't get our adults-only R18 plus for video games until 2013 because of one guy. It was the side that we are, like Jon Del Arroz and the puritanical, satanic panicker sort of types that we're now having to go up against again that started the woke fucking wave in the first place. Because they were all, you shouldn't put anything in video games. And everyone went, no, we're going to put everything in there. And now it's gone to the point where, there are, like I said, certain groups that are getting overrepresented in all entertainment, regardless of it's just mind-boggling how first worldy this all is. Honestly, like when you get down to it, these people are idiots. We're all human beings. We all shit. I don't care what you look like, who you fuck, what's between your legs. Make an entertaining video game and I'll pay you money for it. I don't care.
Well, there's a few things, but mostly people are angry that the game contains a romance option where Henry, the main character that you play,
who's 27,
with Hans, his friend. On a personal note, I think Hans
nearly
is
the
just
same
a
age.
completely obnoxious character. So in my playthrough, I'm insulting him and calling him pretentious.
I laughed at that.
Insignificant is a specific one that comes to mind every single chance I get. Obviously, I'll never experience the romance dialogue because I deliberately tank my reputation with him.
There you go.
But even if you tried to find this dialogue on purpose, it's one scene in a game that has like over 100 hours of content. The thing is, people really care about this, and the rumors about this game being woke have been circulating since well before it ever released. Here's some slop article right here about how the game is reportedly banned in Saudi Arabia, which says, quote, "It seems like the highly anticipated title is promoting an agenda via unskippable cutscenes, which has caused Saudi Arabia to ban it in the country," end quote. But if you have any understanding of this franchise whatsoever, you would know that 0 cutscenes in either product, the first or the second one, are unskippable, not to mention the fact that the game has not actually been banned in Saudi Arabia. Still, truth be damned, now that the game is finally released, you have people like this guy. Quote, "Gamers, our boycott against Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is working. Huge victory. The game is already trending down a mere 7 hours after launch. Get woke, go broke.
People played it for 7 hours and then had a break?
Propaganda in games," end quote. Except, wait a second, because he took the snapshot when people were going to bed, which is a cycle that you can see borne out on every single game on all of Steam. Since that day, the game has reached progressively new concurrent high player counts every single day afterward. So far, peaking at almost 250,000 at one time. In the first 24 hours, the game sold.
It's almost as if people stop playing games after a little bit,
half the time compared to the original, by the way. And when you contrast that with
and go to bed,
budget, which was something like $40 million for the sequel, the game is already earning tens of millions in profit.
Yeah, it's the heartbeat pattern.
You might be thinking, well, that guy was probably joking because no one is that stupid.
No, we're getting a
But
John.
you'd be wrong because he doubled down the next day saying, quote, "Guess what? Kingdom Come 2 is trending downwards again, LOL.
He did this 3
days
in a row.
I don't think this game is turning a profit anytime soon.
It already has.
Get woke, go broke.
It's closer to 2 million by now.
Non-binary as like a little stupid joke," end quote. Once again, you're probably thinking no one on planet Earth is that fucking stupid. But you'd be wrong
yes,
because
they
this
are.
guy contributes to a publication. I don't know if I should call it a publication. It sounds way too legitimate for them. But he contributes to a thing which writes articles like this. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 features graphic depiction of child bad stuff, which is quite shocking, to be honest. And this article was followed up with a statement that reads, quote, watching the entire anti-woke movement rally in unison against the horrible woke fest that is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a beautiful sight to behold.
Yeah, that's
yes, we all rallied in unison, didn't
very,
we?
Very compelling, yeah. Well, the fandom
You
Pulse
are my
Substack,
soldiers.
which is what he contributes to.
Like, what's the whole? Are these guys trying to get like another holy crusade going of some description? Seriously, like Jon Del Arroz wants to put people in stocks and shame them for or shame them publicly for degeneracy. I showed that. Like, so when do we start shaming you for your Lucario fucking or wanting to enter your back hole there, John? Huh? Which degeneracy do we put people into the stocks for? Is your degeneracy okay, or is everyone's degeneracy bad? Should we put John F. Trenton there for wanting to ride the literal incarnation of Satan? I think all of these questions should be asked and answered by you, John. And John, the two fucking Johns, these idiots. Anyway.
Is run by this guy, who claims to be a #1 best-selling author by standing for Christian values. And it turns out he's got a massive thread about how the game is an insult to Christians and gamers. What's more, this entire narrative about the game being woke is propped up and perpetuated by other influencers as well as YouTubers, like this dumbass, who has an entire video about how Warhorse Studios, which was acquired in 2019 by THQ Nordic, which is itself a subsidiary of Embracer Group, was commanded to put the woke agendas in their game. No joke, because a random guy on Twitter posted an extremely obvious and sarcastic troll tweet. Even better, these three shitsketeers doubled and tripled down on the idea that Hans, who the character can romance for a skippable cutscene, is 15, because a codex entry says underage in it and gives a historically accurate description of who he was in the real world. Just one issue with that part. Right. The entire game is motion captured by actors who are like 30 plus years old.
30 plus years old.
Because the video game adaptation has aged them up deliberately like 15 years.
Because you can't go putting things like CCSCEM into a video game and sell it for a profit. It is illegal. You can't do that. But this is okay. This is what the fuck? Go on.
Well, and he's making the argument that Hans was 15 years old historically.
Right.
But the thing is, the whole concept of 18 being the age of consent is a recent development as far as human history goes. Right. So, like, I'm not saying it's right for 15 to be the age of consent. I know what you say. Look,
I did some wild shit when I was a kid with girls, and, you know, at that age, like, most teenagers are pretty goddamn interested in what's going on down there and other things. Like, come on.
Well, and it's about emotional maturity is why our age of consent is as high as it is. I mean, it's technically sexual maturity is much earlier, but the emotional maturity that comes along with it doesn't come until later, which is why we have the laws that we do.
Yep.
So, like, the argument is just dumb that, he was 15 historically, therefore he's 15 in the game. No.
And again, you get punished for the gay choice if you make the gay choice in the 100+ hours of content that you can find. You get punished for it as per the time, from what I've heard. I, again, have to play it. But if that's the case, then, yeah, that's pretty historically accurate. They would have been punished for that. Anyway, we'll continue.
And these characters, Henry as well as Hans, have been sleeping around in bathhouses and romancing love interests
doing all sorts
the
of
start
shit
of the very first game. You actually get a massive buff to your character by sleeping with people. And that's been true this entire time. Notice how the outrage is only focused on the fact that Henry sleeps with Hans.
Right.
And the supposed underage nature of that relationship, and not the bazillions of women that Hans slept with across the franchise so far. On top of that, since we're apparently using the Codex as our immutable truth doctrine, and thus using it to say that the game is showing illegal material, which they've directly claimed. Another one of the game's characters, Sir Markvart, according to this codex, died in 1402, which is a year before the game supposedly takes place.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, this means that codex entries can't be taken at face value because the development team have indisputably deviated from them in both a literal...
Based on is not this is. Does that make sense? Based on does not mean this is the same thing. It's based on that thing or person. Based on, like, what an example I could use here off the top of my head. Anyway, you know what I mean.
And creative sense. There's this bizarre and spreading narrative right now that Kingdom Come Deliverance is a Christian game betraying the gamers. But that's like saying that a rock song which talks about Christianity is a Christian rock song. Christian rock.
And that's also similar to him saying things like, oh, Superman is a Jesus character, based on, and his whole story is a Christian love story. You realize he was created by Jewish people, right? John, you do realize that Superman is the creation of two Jewish guys, don't you? I don't think he does.
Rock, by the way, is its own genre, obviously. And just because a song decided to talk about a Christian setting or Christian themes or Christianity in general, it doesn't turn the final product into a whole new genre. Remember that earlier example, Hogwarts Legacy. With Hogwarts Legacy, a group of... I'm trying to not be overly insulting right now. A group of extremely dishonest people who really had no actual interest in the game itself attempted to boycott the product because they didn't like some sort of perceived social slight against them, and they failed completely because the game was good. With Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a group of extremely dishonest people are attempting to boycott the product because they don't like some sort of perceived...
He's talking about Kotaku there, by the way.
...slight against their worldview.
Right.
In this case, a gay romance scene.
Dishonest
and they're failing. Remember how everyone laughed at the idiots who were angry over Hogwarts Legacy? I mean, like, we all laughed at them, okay? Yeah, that's you. That's the people boycotting Kingdom Come Deliverance. That is you. We're laughing at you, just like we laughed at them. You are idiots like they are idiots, okay? Don't be an idiot. At the end of the day, it's the exact same basic phenomenon, just new flavors. You can decide for yourself whether or not it's better or worse, but let's not pretend it's wildly different. Two groups of people, for different reasons, decided that a video game should conform to their worldview. To make that happen, they're inventing things and stretching the truth, trying to bludgeon those around them socially into conforming. And I'm not sure about all of you, but I'm kind of a contrarian, obviously. So when someone starts using deceptive tactics...
I don't know if the claim in that headline would be just considered... I don't know if the claim in that headline would just be considered stretching the truth. I mean, it's kind of just outright lying.
I agree with you on that. I understand why he said that. He doesn't want to go. I'm perfectly fine with saying, no, that's a flat out lie. Because again, I'm not a reporter. And yeah, these are our opinions. But my opinion is that headline is an absolute fucking lie, disingenuous, and Kotaku level shit. Lower than Kotaku 2.0, ladies and gentlemen. I think I've made my case for the whole thing today. Go on.
I still can't get over the fact. That the headline is the claim of fact made in the headline is disproven by the picture that they chose to use for the article. You literally read this headline, and then you look down, and the character they're talking about is clearly not a child.
There's not much else you can say, is there? It's just, how do you... Some self-awareness, guys. Come on. Like, think before you go posting stupid shit.
Or think whatever they want.
Yeah.
I don't respond very well to it. It doesn't matter if it's a puritanical movement that doesn't want games to feature any of the choices that they disagree with, or if it's some sort of diversity quota that seems hell-bent on supplanting existing narratives to push their ideology, which is also bad. Because for me, both of these groups are equally frustrating when they gain power and do this dumb shit to the games that I like. A lot has changed in the past few years, And now it's a little bit surreal watching the anti-woke types suddenly start doing and saying all these things that are so closely echoing what their woke enemies did before them. Hopefully we can all get a little bit more self-awareness from this, because doing all the things that you used to cry out against is probably not the solution. Bottom line, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has nothing to do with woke ideology. I've played it for like 40 or so hours so far, encountered literally none of that stuff, with the weirdest thing being a bandit who said trust but verify, which made me sort of laugh because I think that's a Ronald Reagan quote maybe. And the people who are outraged over this are a joke. Their logic is non-existent. I mean, maybe they're just doing it for profit, which...
And the logic is non-existent, and maybe they're just doing it for profit. Profit, definitely. But the logic thing sort of gets me more than anything. It's like, how did you reach this conclusion going off the information that's available? It blows my mind how they've gone, it's child porn. It's not. It's not. Fuck right off. Now you're making shit up, and now you're trying to create.
Dude is 6'7" and has a 5 o'clock shadow, and they're like, clearly this is a child.
Yeah, and you get punished for the choices that you make in the game. Remember, you control the buttons you press, John, and I don't even think either of those two press many buttons.
Seems more and more likely because, I mean,
but yeah, he's
intellectually,
right.
no one can
is all Jon Del Arroz's
these people
goal
are taking to criticize this game. Like, it's indefensible, but whatever. They're just a new, morally self-obsessed version of the same problem that video games have been grappling with for so many years, which is people that don't even play the games trying to dictate what's in those games.
Right.
It is, with as much emphasis as I can possibly put on this word, dumb. It is dumb.
Yep.
That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. The video sponsor, of course.
So yes, thank you to Upper Echelon for making that video. That probably summarized it better than I could have. Took less than 15 minutes, and it spells it out beautifully. Of course, all the links will be in the description under the live stream after we finished here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to show, and that was actually a last-minute addition to what I had, because I was going to go through, a bit more of the Ethan Van Sciver video, or the one from 4 years ago, but this took precedent, because I think we've made the case here today that, yes, Jon Del Arroz is in fact the new Alyssa Mercante. Kotaku 2.0 is Fandom Pulse. Don't trust them. Call them out. Don't cancel them. We don't cancel people around here, but we will call you out for your hypocrisy and your bullshit. We will criticize you as much as anyone else that we criticize. Everyone's open to criticism, even us. Like, if someone's critical of what things we've got to say here, go ahead and let us know. We'll have a discussion about it. That's not a problem. This guy, though, the religious fundamentalist zealot, that is a alt-furry Pokemon, and if you look into alt-furries themselves, they're like the Nazi-esque side of furrydom, apparently. They're an offshoot from normal
Allegedly.
Furries. Allegedly, of Allegedly, yes, all of that. Must continue to use the allegedly. So, yeah. I mean, any final thoughts, Scal, before I think we're ready to wrap up here?
Look, I think that the best thing you can do in a situation like this is, because when people are saying something that's so extreme, it's usually based on a much less extreme, much more reasonable principle that they've taken to a problematic area. And I hate to use the word problematic, but
yeah,
I couldn't think of anything better.
I mean, it's
But for example, you're talking about, degeneracy being pushed by video games. Well, video games, it's already been well established that like violent video games don't make you violent or anything like that. That was the Satanic Panic, and that actually did happen, John.
I was there for that.
And it was ridiculous.
Like, I was younger, but yeah, I was old enough to feel effects of that.
But just like anything that gives you a source of dopamine, it will get addictive, and if you do it too much, too often, you will develop a tolerance for that dopamine. You'll have to go to more extremes in order to get that same feeling from it, and it's going to lead to increased rates of depression. You're just not going to feel the same. So my advice to people, and this is being a little bit dad-pilled, I'm sorry, but my advice to people is take a break every once in a while.
Right.
And I realize I'm, literally telling people to go out and touch grass right now. But it's if you take a break from the things that you love every once in a while and go and do something different,
right,
then you will find that have much lower rates of depression in your life. You are much happier with the way your life you will be much happier with the way your life is. And when you come back to it, you won't be so desensitized to it, and you'll be able to get that same feeling that you used to have once again. You won't have to be chasing some weird dopamine high.
Yeah, well said. No, but I like that. Absolutely. Yeah, my final thoughts are, I think Jon Del Arroz needs to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror. Maybe decide whether or not he wants to stay in the closet or come out of it and actually embrace who he seems to actually be. Because, as I said, the people that complain the loudest usually have got the most to hide when it comes to things like that. So maybe
Jon needs to take a break and go touch grass.
Yeah, some self-reflection and a good camping trip with a couple of buddies of his might help him out a bit. So yeah, thanks for joining.
Just don't take any dogs.
Yeah, or Lucaria. Yeah, right. But yeah, thanks for joining, Scott. I'd love to have you back again. We'll try and work it out so we can keep doing this on a more regular basis. But yeah, it's been great having you. Got anything you want to plug before you go? Your comic? Anything?
So go ahead and follow me on X if you'd like. I'm at Prominence Comics. That's capital P, capital C with an X on the end of it. On X, and that's for updates on my comic book, The Silver Spark, that's coming out.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that, and we'll work on that later too. But yeah, I am the Bio-Boosted Squirrel, of course, from Australia. Have a look in the mirror, John. Don't be Kotaku 2.0. It's too late for that now. I want to thank everyone that came to the Squirrel Den to check it out, and hopefully we get spread around, and we're up to 70 subscribers. I finally got out of the 69, even though 69 was funny. Finally getting up there. Once I hit 100, I'm going to have 100 stream sub celebration. Because 100, it's triple digits. So yeah, still working on the outro, but I did have a thought of, there's this funny YouTube channel that does these little animations, and I'm going to play one of those as an outro today because they're funny. So let's pull that up. We're just going to click on one at random because they're all pretty funny.
All right, well, I got to go tuck the baby in, but I will talk to you later, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
But you know it's even more hardcore. Becoming the Sword. Look out, mate! Here I come! Well done, mate. Time to become Elden Lord.